Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Today's question is, can I analyze the case of Katelyn Markham and John Carter? Just a reminder, I'm not diagnosing anybody in this video, only speculating about what could be happening in a situation like this. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, subscribe to my channel, and consider supporting me on Patreon. I'll put the link to Patreon in the description for this video. First, I'll look at the background of this case, move to the timeline of the crime, then offer my analysis. Katelyn Helene Markham was born on August 16, 1989, and was raised in the Cincinnati, Ohio area. At some point, she moved to a townhouse on Dorshire Drive in Fairfield, Ohio. This is a half-hour north of Cincinnati. Katelyn had a boyfriend named John Carter, who lived with his mother and stepfather on West Scioto Drive. Their house was only about 1,000 feet from Katelyn's townhouse. In 2010, Katelyn and John became engaged after being together for 5 years. By this time, Katelyn was a student at a college in Cincinnati, studying commercial and graphic design. In addition to going to school, Katelyn had 2 jobs. She worked at the college bookstore and at a bridal shop. Her fiancé, John, worked as a delivery driver for a local pizza restaurant. In August of 2011, Katelyn was getting ready to graduate from college. Initially, she and John discussed exciting plans that included moving to Colorado, but it appears as though Katelyn was having serious second thoughts about continuing her engagement to John. Now moving to the timeline of the crime. On August 14, 2011, at 7:58 p.m., Katelyn Markham's fiancé John Carter called 911 and reported that Katelyn was missing. When the police arrived at her townhouse, they made a few observations. Her motor vehicle was there, along with her purse, wallet, keys, and her dog. Her cell phone was missing. It was never found. There was no forced entry into the townhouse and no signs of a struggle. Katelyn failed to show up to work at the bridal shop that day, which was out of the ordinary. The police interviewed John Carter. Here's what he told them. On August 13, Katelyn worked at the bridal shop in the afternoon. John woke up at 2:30 p.m. that day and went to work at the pizza restaurant at 5 p.m. He was sent home not long after this because business was slow. John went to Katelyn's house. He invited a male friend over to spend some time with them. At around 7 or 7:30 p.m., John arrived at Katelyn's townhouse and smoked marijuana with his friend. The friend left between 10:30 and 11 p.m., which meant that John was alone with Katelyn in her residence. John left about a half hour later as Katelyn was getting ready for bed. He went to a party in Hamilton, Ohio. This is about 10 minutes away. He stayed there until around 1:30 or 2 a.m., now on August 14, then drove back to his mother's residence and went to sleep. John woke up at 4:30 p.m. and went to work. At about 6:30 p.m., he asked his manager if he could leave so he could check on Katelyn because he had been unable to reach her by phone. John arrived at Katelyn's townhouse at 7 p.m. He entered after noticing her vehicle was there. He found her dog locked in a bedroom and discovered Katelyn's purse. John called Katelyn's father and dramatically proclaimed that Katelyn was missing. He then went back to the pizza restaurant to return money from deliveries he had made earlier. At this point, he called 911 and returned to Katelyn's townhouse. The police noticed that John Carter had vertical scratches on the left side of his neck. He said they were caused by an electric razor, but then changed his story not long after this and said he did not remember what caused the scratches. The police interviewed the friend who was over Katelyn's townhouse on August 13. He indicated that Katelyn seemed distant and not bubbly as usual. Also, the friend did not see any scratches on John's neck. The authorities presumed that Katelyn had been the victim of foul play. They searched for her extensively, but had no success. Over a year and a half later, on April 7, 2013, Katelyn's skeletal remains were found in a remote wooded area by a husband and wife looking for scrap metal. Her remains were near a creek about 35 feet away from Big Cedar Road in Cedar Grove, Indiana. This is about 35 minutes from her residence in Fairfield, Ohio. Black plastic sheeting was wrapped around her bones. There was a sharp force injury to her wrist. Her manner of death was ruled homicide, even though her cause of death could not be determined. About 10 years later, on March 22, 2023, John Carter was arrested for murdering Katelyn Markham. He was released on a $1 million bond. At the time I'm making this video, John Carter's trial is set to begin on June 24, 2024. Now moving to my analysis. The case against John Carter is somewhat controversial, and he has a few supporters. They argue that if the police had any real evidence against him, it would not have taken them so many years to make an arrest. The state, of course, disagrees. They recognize that the case against John is circumstantial, but maintain that the evidence of guilt is compelling. This brings me to the question, was John Carter guilty of murder? Let's take a look at the evidence both for and against the idea that he was guilty, starting with the inculpatory factors. In the months leading up to her death, Katelyn told her friends that she was trying to end her engagement to John. She felt trapped in the relationship. John was jealous and possessive. Katelyn was not attracted to him sexually and did not like the sexual activities that he preferred. In addition, she was concerned that John was spending a lot of time viewing adults-only videos. As if all this wasn't bad enough, Katelyn thought that John's substance use was unacceptable. John told the authorities that there were no problems in his romantic relationship with Katelyn, but witnesses noticed that they had an argument at a festival on August 12, just 2 days before John reported Katelyn missing. Katelyn was upset with John for spending money on raffle tickets. On August 14, right before John called the police, he called Katelyn's father and was highly confident that something terrible had happened to her. He appeared to be certain that she had met a horrible fate. A friend of Katelyn said that John repeatedly referred to her in the past tense in the days after her disappearance. John had vertical scratches on his neck and changed his story about how those scratches came to be there. The friend who was with John and Katelyn at Katelyn's townhouse on August 13 did not see the scratches. John's phone became inactive at 12:04 a.m. on August 14. Just 2 minutes later, Katelyn's phone became inactive as well. This suggests that the two events were related to one another, like John deactivated both phones. John's phone reactivated at 2:24 p.m. Katelyn's phone never reactivated and was never found. John told the police that he accidentally deleted text message exchanges with Katelyn that occurred on the evening of August 13. He claimed that she sent him a good morning text at 4 a.m. on August 14. There was no record of that message. John was referring to a message that did not exist. John's father owned property in Laurel, Indiana, and John was familiar with this property, having been there many times. The most direct route from the residence of John's mother, where John lived, to his father's property is Indiana Route 252. This route intersects Big Cedar Road. The intersection is only 1.6 miles away from where Katelyn's remains were found. After the discovery of Katelyn's remains, John told a police officer that he thought whoever killed her did not do it on purpose. John kept a journal that contained a disturbing entry, as if he was struggling with a dark alter ego. It read, quote, "Deep down, I love her. You want to kill her, but I love her. She must die. I can't kill her. Yes, you can. No, yes. How do you talk me into all these things? I am just that good." Unquote. Information found on John's computer indicated that during the early morning hours of August 14, he played 3 episodes of a television show called White Collar, starting at 1:39 a.m. At about 3 p.m. that same day, the computer was used to visit a website containing plot summaries for that show. Teenagers saw John's red Ford Focus and a blue Saturn pulling up to the house of John's mother at 2 a.m. on August 14. The headlights on both vehicles were off. The Ford Focus was in the garage for about 5 to 10 minutes before both vehicles drove in the direction of Katelyn's townhouse. Again, her townhouse was only about 1,000 feet away. Based on these witness accounts, it sounds like if John is guilty, he may have had help in disposing of the body. Now moving to the exculpatory factors. There are no witnesses to the murder, no video. There is no physical evidence tying John Carter to the crime. No DNA, no fingerprints, no blood, no hair, no murder weapon, nothing at all. There was no sign of a struggle in Katelyn's townhouse. How did John kill her? John doesn't seem particularly sophisticated, organized, or industrious. How could he have managed to pull off a crime like this and escape responsibility for so many years? When considering all the evidence, do I think that John Carter is guilty of murder? Yes, I believe he is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, but at the time making this video, John maintains the presumption of innocence. What do I think happened in this case? This is just a theory, my opinion. Katelyn viewed John as impulsive, irresponsible, lazy, and possessing no ambition. She found his physical appearance to be revolting and was disgusted by his ideas for sex, especially because those ideas including having sex with him. Katelyn was going places in life. She had hopes and dreams. The upcoming completion of her college degree represented the start of a new era. She didn't want to be weighed down by a partner who was going nowhere, making little money, using drugs, and sleeping until the afternoon. Fundamentally, the couple was badly mismatched. Katelyn was high in openness to experience and high in conscientiousness, whereas John was low in both those traits. Katelyn and John may have both been immature when they met, but over time, Katelyn became more responsible. She outgrew John and realized nothing was going to fix the maturity disparity. John felt differently about the romantic relationship. He viewed Katelyn as an object that he could possess. On August 13, 2011, John and Katelyn exchanged text messages where she rejected him. Their engagement was over, and she was moving on with her life alone. These are the messages that John accidentally deleted. Unable to bear the romantic rejection, John murdered Katelyn. The crime was premeditated. John should have been thoroughly investigated from the beginning, but he had a phenomenal disguise. The police thought he was too lazy to commit murder. Ironically, John's low conscientiousness was both the reason that Katelyn disliked him and the reason the police didn't conduct a proper investigation of his potential involvement. Now moving to my final thoughts. If John is guilty, this is yet another case involving a homicide at the point of a relationship dissolution. The end of a romance is a dangerous time because it involves strong feelings. This danger is only amplified if one of the lovers is impulsive, irresponsible, possessive, jealous, and self-centered. Katelyn was looking forward to getting away from John, but underestimated his will to exert energy. She had never seen him work hard for anything, and probably didn't think he would start now. Those are my thoughts on the case of Katelyn Markham and John Carter. Please put any opinions and thoughts in the comment section. They always generate an interesting dialogue. As always, I hope you found my analysis of this topic to be informative. Thanks for watching.